on. I hear him, but we're going to try to pull off a feat of technological television amazingness today. We've been using Skype primarily for the TV show, so I can only have one guest at a time. Now, today we're going to try to go to Frank and then be joined at the same time by Pavlina, which will be a tremendous upgrade from what we've been doing recently. I don't know if Frank can hear me right now.
Yes, I hear you, John.
Frank hears me, so I guess we can see Frank right now. Hi, Frankie.
Hey, John, I wish I could. I can't see you.
Yeah, I'm over here. If I stand up, you could see me, but
No, I don't see your camera in the Zoom.
Oh, I think Nico has it. I think Nico has it minimized. This way, it doesn't show when Pavlina comes
Okay.
in, and then
All
we
right.
can have two folks in there.
Oh, no, I just saw you for a second. You look good.
Okay.
Well, I've been watching most of the show.
How you doing, pal?
I'm doing great.
How's the haircut situation going?
Oh, that could be better. But unlike my general situation where I just leave it uncombed for much of the day, I did at least brush it this morning and throw a little bit of gel in there. I don't look nearly as lovely as Pavlina seems to with that beautiful yellow outfit she's got there. But it's good to see you both.
Well, it's good to see both of you as well. So, Frankie, give us the view.
What are you drinking, John? We're not even going to have a drink together all this time. We're not even going to do a virtual cocktail.
Well, no, I think we should do a virtual cocktail.
Yeah. What are you having?
Why don't you? I'm so happy to have you back. I miss you, Pavlina. I miss you too, as always. But I'm going to vacate for a moment, and you and Pavlina talk amongst yourselves about what's happening. But I'm going to get myself a drink, Frankie.
All right. Well, yeah, I know, Pavlina, you're not as much of a functional alcoholic as John and I are, so you're probably unlikely to be drinking at 1:30 in the afternoon, right?
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I still have like 2 workouts scheduled for later. Like I'm going to go on a run after this, so.
Wow, that's very tough. I have actually 2 naps and a cigar scheduled after this. So I have a very busy schedule myself for the afternoon. I don't want to brag, but
that sounds pretty good. So I wish I should do that later. I might take a nap. I'm actually pretty tired. I feel like it's harder to have energy in quarantine because you're at home the whole time, So it's just like it's hard to get going.
Yeah, well, you and I see you at the radio station regularly. Were you in this morning? I didn't see you this morning.
I was. Yeah, I feel like I don't leave. I'm usually in Mike's studio at this point, so because Eric and I are social distancing, and I just don't leave that studio. I'm just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll just chill here.
All right. And it's funny. Before John comes back, I want to speak to the Facebook viewers. So John and I had a conversation earlier about how he knows which guests are good and which guests aren't good based on whether the viewership watching on Facebook goes up or down. So everybody that's watching on Facebook, Harry Hurley, great interview with Roger Stone today, by the way, not as good as the one I did 4 days ago, but good. It's good. Janet Maderick, Gary Appa, Susan Rochester Zacconi, Bill Cortez, Gypsy Impala, everybody watching right now, click share this live video. So this way, when John comes back, he's going to see this massive audience watching because of Pavlina and I, and then Pavlina and me, I should say. Then, never mind. Forget I said anything.
Frank,
go about your
here's
business.
to you. I don't know if you can see me, but here's to you. I got my drink.
I like Bullet myself. In fact, when you claimed you were coming to my Christmas party about a year and a half ago, I purchased a bottle of Bullet Rye in your honor. I see you doing the Bullet Bourbon, and I was forced to drink the whole thing because you ended up not coming to the party. So it didn't work out well for anybody, not for you, not for me, and least of all for my wife.
All right, well, at least you're loaded with Bullet Bourbon. That's big. And by the way, just because I step away from the desk for a moment, I want to point out to you guys that I'm on the earpiece. So I can actually still hear you as you were encouraging people.
There is an irony there, John. And when we were all in an actual TV studio, you seemed never to be able to hear what we were saying in your earpiece. And now that you relocated to your basement, you suddenly have a functioning IFB.
Oh, my God. You can't, Frank, you cannot believe the things that I have been told for the last year we cannot do with our system that I have figured out from my home in literally a week's time. So I don't know. I guess I'm either I'm either an amazing innovator or
Well, we know that's not the case.
right, or we weren't putting exactly all the brain power we had into solving simple problems like letting me talk over a clip, which now I can do
Right.
at ease.
Most of our brain power went to getting Nico timeout with Nico Romano, getting those clips produced, and getting that scheduled in the show.
And now all my time is dedicated to John's videos, which have been going pretty smooth, John, I gotta say.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, as soon as we figured out how to do that, yeah, now they're going damn smooth. I gotta admit, it's unbelievable that we couldn't figure it out for months how to talk over a clip, but now suddenly it works. Oh, we have Nico.
Big shout out to my friend Harry Hurley, who's watching as well, who comments, Frank Moreno is a huge talent and one of the greatest guys in our business. That is one of the many comments Harry makes on a regular basis that I agree with wholeheartedly. So thank you, Harry. That's very kind. Harry, by the way, doing a great job keeping the people of South Jersey informed. I mean, the national audience may know him from all his time filling in at Fox News Radio, which he does regularly. But we, who spend a lot of time in Atlantic City, know him as the host of Early in the Morning on WPG. It'd be great to get him on this show one of these afternoons. But Harry has been doing yeoman's work chronicling the problems that Atlantic City is having right now. They were going like this, and then all of a sudden they hit a brick wall, and there's tens of thousands of people that have no idea how they're going to be able to make a living. In Las Vegas, the situation is even worse, where the whole city's shut down, and you have hundreds of thousands of people, of workers, completely out of work, not drawing a paycheck. And that's why I agree with a good portion of what Seth Grossman said in your interview, John. Not everything, but a good portion of it, that, we have to get people back to work. I'm watching, Harry's governor and my governor on television moments ago saying everything is suspended indefinitely.
Yeah.
How about, instead of saying everything's closed indefinitely, how about we see where things are May 15th, and then we keep working towards increasing testing capacity, both antibody testing and diagnostic testing, and then everybody that has those antibodies, and we see it's now in New York City anyway, 25% of the population, everyone that has those antibodies, here's a little chart, here's a gold star, here's your immunity certificate, congratulations, you're going back to work. And if we can't restart the whole economy on May 15th, let's restart a quarter of it. What's wrong with that? I mean, people want to go to restaurants. And if these people can go out there and participate in civil society without getting sick, at the very least, I think that's what we should be doing.
So,
Frank, I miss your frankly speakings.
Frank, you got lucky.
Yes, so do I. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's very kind.
Frank,
I do miss Are You Smarter Than an Uber Driver as well.
Yeah, we put plenty of time into Am I Smarter Than an Uber Driver. But Frankie, you got lucky to get the lovely...
Just don't tell my wife about that.
I was going to say, well, you got lucky by getting Miss Rachel O'Brien to marry you in September before this madness began, and you had, a somewhat traditional wedding other than the wild array of zany guests you had there. But
that's true.
Pavlina...
Ironically, for folks watching, Pavlina and John were two of the few people to attend without a criminal conviction, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, thank you for that.
It was a fun crowd.
So, Pavlina, speaking of weddings, I know one of the things you wanted to talk about today, and it pertains to Frank, too, because he's a non-denominational minister or something. I guess now here in New York, people can get married remotely.
Yeah, so Governor Cuomo has signed an executive order allowing people to get marriage licenses and perform ceremonies over Zoom. I've seen countless videos where, couples are in the streets and they have the minister or whatever, like in their apartment, and like they're like yelling down to the street. It's hilarious. Like New York, there's nothing that will stop a New Yorker. I swear to God, like there is nothing that won't get them if they want to do something, they're going to do it.
On that note, Pavlina, and I think that's a great idea, and I'm willing to marry anybody that wants me to commence their ceremony.
Do one. You should really do one.
But is the city clerk's office open for people to get marriage certificates in, say, New York City, for instance? Can they get marriage licenses?
Yeah, they're getting licenses as well, and it's all digital. They've made everything digital, and you can get all of it. I just don't know why you would want to get married during quarantine, but that's just like my personal thing. Like, I'd want to have all my friends and family around, and you can't do that when you're in quarantine. So I don't really get the hype around it. But I mean, if you want to do it, you can do it, which is great.
Pavlina, do they have these ceremonies where people are on Zoom call, like where we are now, like where their friends and family are joining in?
Yeah, they are. And I'm just kind of like, I don't get it. But, you know.
Do either of you want to get married? I'll marry each of you right now.
So we can get married. It'll be great.
I'm down.
You get a Zoom wedding and a Mexican divorce.
I'm going to abstain. I'm going to abstain from that one. This could have a prolonged, right before the coronavirus came around, I think 52% of marriages ended in divorce. So people who are divorced are in the majority in America, those who are in some kind of wedded relationship. And I'm wondering if you get married remotely and then live remotely for some time, if that extends the shelf life of some of these marriages.
Yeah, but it's so funny that you say that, because my friend Joe Franklin, who was one of the great broadcasting legends of all time, and as we know, had a gift for people. My friend Joe Franklin said the key to his nearly 50-year-long marriage to his beautiful wife, Lois, was the fact that he lived in New York City and she lived in Florida. So I think there's something to be said for what you're suggesting, John.
Pavlina, do you think we can get some millennials on board with this new strategy of getting married remotely and then living remotely?
I mean, I think you can get them on board with just about anything, especially if it'll make them go viral for something. So yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
And Nico's a real suave mente. So, Nico, any plans on your end to ask Frank to marry you?
No plans yet, John. I'm happily single, but we'll see.
All right. Well, Doug Matthews says, let Pavlina talk, Frank. So I didn't mean to monopolize the conversation.
You're fine. You're doing great. All good. I'm good.
So, Frank, you're traveling into Manhattan every day.
Yeah.
Pavlina lives in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Nico lives in Manhattan, too, but he's hiding out at his mom's house down in South New Jersey.
Can you blame him? It's probably a lot better cooking there than with his sister in their apartment.
No doubt about that one. But I'm just, for the different perspective, I'm locked in my house, since end of March in Staten Island. You're in Staten Island, but you're getting to go back and forth. Pavlina's right there in the heart of it every day, and Nico's way out there in Jersey. So from a television and media production standpoint, we have the gamut covered of geographical contaminations from this.
Right, but before people start sending John non-perishable food or taking up a collection or using up all their tears on his terrible plight, I do think people should be informed that you live literally next door to your mother, who also happens to be one of the great cooks of all time. So it's not as if you're in danger of needing to live on ramen noodles and macaroni and cheese for the foreseeable future.
Frank, how is it traveling into the city each day? Like that can be dangerous.
Well, it was going pretty well. And then they recently, and I understand why, they recently changed the express bus schedule to a Sunday schedule. And at the odd hours that I commute in, that means it's essentially only once every hour. There you can see John's beautiful view, a very scenic view. It's the landscape that launched 1,000 paintings. And so if I miss the 4 a.m. express bus, then I have very little choice except to drive in. So I had to drive in this morning because 5 a.m. would get me in too late. But last night, for instance, we live in an apartment. It's an apartment I like, but it's not the best run apartment. I know John's been over. I don't think you guys have. But last night, my wife and I were going to bed around 10:15 after watching an episode of Boardwalk Empire, one of the many great shows I'm catching up on right now. Aside from my nap and cigar, that is, watching television is one of the key things I'm looking forward to this afternoon. But so we go up this afternoon. Last night around 10:15, and we see that there's water leaking from our ceiling in our bedroom, all over our bed, all over the walls, all over this very expensive photo print that's framed on the wall. And it's not only leaking in our bedroom, which is upstairs, but it's leaking down to our first floor in the kitchen. Lo and behold, I go upstairs to the apartment above me, and it looks like some guy in apartment 3I left his faucet on and went to sleep and caused this major flood, which produced the result of three negative things. One, flooding me out of my bed. Two, keeping me up very late when I had a 3 a.m. wake up call, and making my wife very ornery for the last 12 hours and demanding that we move. And on that note, John, because I still am quite short of a house, whatever you can do to get the Newsmax money that they owe us to us, I know not only would I appreciate it, but certainly my wife would. So this morning, for instance, was one of those days where I had to drive in because I overslept slightly and missed my 4 a.m. express bus. But I will tell you this, Pavlina, the ride home from Manhattan has been delightful. Generally, if I leave right after the show, which I try to do, generally I'm the only person on the express bus. And it's great. It's like I have my own little private driver.
Yeah, you got a private charter bus. It's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
That's incredible. I'm so sorry to hear about your apartment. I would not be able to handle that. That would give me so much anxiety. And yes. I'm assuming you're having someone come in to fix it.
No, you would assume that because you're a reasonable person, but you don't live in a building run by Quail Run Management or whatever shoddy management company owns our building. But no one can come in to fix it, even though the super lives 4 doors away. No one can come in to fix it because of the crisis that we're in.
Well, what about a TaskRabbit person? Get someone from TaskRabbit. They're always available.
Well, that's an idea.
Frank, I heard when I was going to get my cocktail, and greetings again, you were asking people to share it. We almost crossed the Rubicon with this group. We crossed the number 40 people on at the same time.
What's the record?
It dipped down, and I thought maybe with this august group, we would maybe break my record of 49.
All right. Well, also everybody should share it. I'm going to answer Douglas Matthews' question. Doesn't Al Gattullo drive you to work, Frank? Answer: no. He only drove me once, but he decided that once my sister-in-law, came to live with us, that this was no longer a risk he was willing to take. Corey Windlespecht writes, who, again, is the Holland Tunnel hero who rescued us from the poorly designed, poorly decorated Holland Tunnel decorations 2 Christmases ago. Corey writes, living with mom in the mountains during this fiasco is the greatest thing I've done for my well-being. Worst thing I've done for my waistline. Italians, ... Well, I think that's a little racist, Corey, and I don't think that's appropriate. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting.
This has got to be doing a number on Corey's partner on her foot modeling business.
Right. You would think so. And you know what? You were talking, John, about all the marriages that are, being destroyed right now, either as a result of domestic violence or as a result of people having to turn to one another and say, I can't believe this is the person that I'm married to after having to actually spend time with one another. And it's certainly not the case with Rachel and me. But you have to think that with Corey and his significant other, that she's starting to realize, okay, come on. Now, obviously, everyone's always told me that you were nowhere near my league, and you have to think that a couple of weeks of condensed living with one another, that she's starting to realize that as well.
Wow, you're really going after Corey now.
No, I'm joking around. It's all in good fun, I think.
So,
But
Frank, you did 4 hours of radio this morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AM 970, The Answer. Then
yeah, that's
Pavlina
right.
comes in at 10, and
She actually starts at 9. The Mike Gallagher syndicated show begins airing around the country at 9.
Exactly.
so 9, and then Pavlina does another 3 hours, 4 hours of radio. Um, what's the hot topic that everybody on talk radio wanted to talk about today?
I think today's biggest, we talked a lot about the domestic violence that's going on. And then, of course, the politicization, whoa, words are hard sometimes, of everything that's going on around Trump and the coronavirus. That's mostly what we focus on today.
You know, the other story I think is interesting, John and Pavlina and even Nico, is what's happening with North Korea. Because depending on who you listen to in North Korea, or regarding the situation in North Korea, you have Kim Jong-un, who's been the dictator for a little while there now, who has nuclear weapons, who has a great relationship with President Trump, according to both of them, great relationship with Dennis Rodman, which in the grand scheme of things could be even more significant. He's either dead, brain dead, or doing just fine and acting normally. So I think the uncertainty around the Korean Peninsula is certainly something that's going to be a cause for concern and wonderment for quite some time.
Frank, we're actually going to have Harry Kazianis on Wednesday to talk about this. He's the senior director of Korean studies at the Center for National Interest. He's been studying the potential next in line for Kim Jong-un in case anything happens to him.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about that on Wednesday.
I thought about throwing my hat into the ring there because I've toyed with the idea of getting involved in electoral politics from time to time. But, you know, never having been to either North Korea or South Korea, I can't help but think there's somebody more qualified. Initially, I thought, you know, again, the country's economy is in the toilet. Half the world wants to blow them up. The people are starving. You got all these political prisoners. Everyone's unhappy. Whoever comes next can't really do any worse. So you kind of, whatever you do, you're kind of ahead of the game. But then I realized, look, I don't speak the language. I don't know anything about North Korea. Maybe it's not the job for me. So
Not the haircut, but
thank you.
you know, Nico and Pavlina, and to all of you watching at home, Frank has been, you know, one of my political guiding lights in life, for whatever that's worth. And Frank can just call me up on a random day and say, hey, you know, the filing deadline is coming up to run for U.S. Senate in Idaho. And the guy running in Idaho doesn't have an opponent, so you might want to pay the $200 filing fee. And Frank has shaped my thought process on joining many political races or throwing my hat in the ring just to, you know, stir up the process a little bit. I'm really shocked, Frank, that you haven't asked me to run for Kim Jong-un's spot here.
Well, because my concern with you, John, is you get too much into the behind the scenes, you know, back and forth in terms of you know, one-upsmanship. I could easily see you being at the center of either some plot to have you killed or some plot to have some potentially disloyal generals who aren't really disloyal, but only through tobacco and paranoia to have them all killed. And I don't think it would work out well.
He's already a great dictator in my eyes. I think he's good job. I could see a statue of him in the
I think you're the perfect candidate. I think you should just
Don't be surprised if the next time we're over that house, he hasn't already commissioned a full-body bronze statue. Completely lifelike. The only difference is the statue would have a lot more hair.
Yeah, whoever I get to do the foundry work on it, it's going to make my hair thicker. I'm trying to commission someone to open my pool right now. I'm not up to statues just yet, you know?
Understandable. But it is interesting. The other news, I know we have a lot of viewers watching, not only around the country, but in New York, is Governor Cuomo. For all the talk that Donald Trump is a dictator, Donald Trump, and look, I voted for Donald Trump, and you know my cards are on the table. In fact, look, this is my card. It says Frank, right, and it's on the table, literally. But all the talk and all the criticism of Donald Trump as a dictator. If you look in New York, where Andrew Cuomo, who has done some good things with respect to this coronavirus response, sending a bunch of COVID patients to nursing homes to kill all the other nursing home patients, is not one of them. But by and large, he's done some good things. If you look at how he's behaving, it's incredibly dictatorial. What did we see yesterday? He canceled the special election for Queensborough president. They'd already postponed it. So it was going to happen on June 23rd. Now we're told it's canceled, and the people of Queens will not even have somebody to lead their borough for the rest of the year, which is really wrong. And if you look at what the Board of Elections did today, the Board of Elections today said that we're canceling the Democratic primary for president. Bernie Sanders said, no, please don't cancel it. His supporters say, please don't cancel it. And the Board of Elections says, no, we're canceling it. So they asked the governor at this press conference, what do you think of that? And his response is, well, I'm not going to second guess the Board of Elections. Now he has a problem second guessing people. The guy second guesses Bill de Blasio every time he crosses the street. But when it comes to the Board of Elections canceling presidential elections that millions of people want to vote in, now he's got a problem second guessing people. I think Andrew Cuomo is starting to look a lot more dictatorial than Donald Trump is. And it's starting to look like I'm frozen. I'm not even sure if you could still hear me, but if you can't, then my sympathies.
Pavlina, I got to ask you, I saw on, I don't know, I think it was on your Instagram, I think I saw like a TBT or an FBF or a Take Me Back to you and Jade hanging around together. Are you fiending yourself some Jade at this point?
Am I what?
No, I'm saying you're feeding yourself some Jade. I know you guys were having fun hanging out, and you know.
I love Jade. She's one of my best friends, and I know I miss our. I think my caption was "missing our shenanigans" because we always have so much fun, and we do so many weird things. And when we're together, we brunch. I think we took that photo right before we got brunch with Nico, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I don't know. I'm just like I'm hating this isolation thing. What, Frank?
I said my invitation to that brunch must have gotten lost in the mail.
You're
always
the next,
invited, Frank.
yeah, it was a very spontaneous brunch because Nico lives so close to me. He's like right around the corner.
Figured that out like 2 weeks after I moved in, and we were like,
Nico, what is your lighting situation? You're entirely backlit. You're dressed
really
in black.
turn around, open that window, and then have the light in front of your face. That would be the perfect
Nico.
scenario. You have a great set.
You're in the dark.
A witness in a high-profile mafia.
No. You got to turn around the window in front of you.
That's
I know.
worse.
But the thing is, this room that I'm living in right now is incredibly small. It's like our guest room. This house
that
is
should
not
be
designed
easy
for
to light. Put on the lights on the ceiling.
Right. Didn't you hear what Dr.
dim? Like they're two little lights, dim lights.
Didn't you hear what the president said and William Bryan from Department of Homeland Security? Light is good for the virus. Go towards the light, not away from it.
Yeah. Well, hang on. Nico, you had a positive, right?
I did test positive for the coronavirus. Actually, my whole family did. Yeah, I know. I didn't tell you, Pabs. I'm sorry.
Your whole family did? You said?
My whole family did. So my brother came home from Florida, and he immediately started experiencing symptoms. He got tested positive. Then one after another, domino effect. My whole family.
Is everyone okay? Does anyone have pre-existing conditions?
Everyone's fine, thank God. We never had issues with the lungs. Like no one had bad issues with our lungs, and that was what we were all fearful of, especially my dad, who's a prominent smoker. But everybody, thankfully, is healthy, thank God, and we didn't get it as bad as other people, unfortunately, have. We're lucky.
So you guys had it, and you all recovered.
We all recovered. Yeah, I don't think I have it anymore. I didn't get retested, but I have no more symptoms for the past 2 weeks.
Well,
did you have an antibodies?
Yeah, of course. You should be donating plasma if you have the antibodies.
The whole family's actually going to do that. We were just talking about that recently.
Well, I mean, let's not hurry or anything, Nico. It's not like there's a worldwide pandemic we're trying to put an end to.
We're all afraid to leave the house. We don't know if we could get infected again. It's scary.
Oh, please, come on. Give me a break.
I like my dim lit room.
I see that. You and the crucifix behind you. I'm surprised you were able to take a break from all the praying you're doing in order to come on television with us for a few minutes.
Frank, I got to point out that, on another, this Facebook thing is a little tricky, right? Because if I start a watch party, then I can only see the comments from the people on my watch party. But then my mom starts a watch party and she communicates with people, and Derek does, and other. So I try to see the comments on the Facebook Live, but my mother is saying that a predominant amount of people are saying that they need you back on Liquid Lunch all the time because they're cracking up. When can we expect some more consistent contributions? I mean, this is probably one of the best segments we've had.
Well, not according to my work from home wife, Rachel, who has now found her entire work day completely disrupted by having me occupy the desk next to her instead of the one in my office. So apologies to you, honey. But that will begin as soon as Newsmax or any other entity begins paying me on a regular basis. And that's not just an offer for this show. If you have a show of your own, or if you just want me to Zoom with you at home to entertain you, I can be bought very, very cheaply. I'll do this all day long. So if anybody's interested in that, you can find me at Venmo. Just search Frank Morano or Morano Vision, or you can use PayPal and send me money at morano@nycradio.com. You'll find me on Twitter. But as soon as the money resumes, so that I can pay for the giant hole above my bed, then we will go forward with as much commentary as you can handle. You're talking to a guy, as you know, John, that's talked for 33 straight hours. So I'm prepared to do the same thing if need be.
Right.
For a very little amount of money.
We have quite the auspicious group here. We have Frank did a 33-hour straight marathon. Pavlina is the Guinness Book of World Records holder for the most interviews in a 24-hour period ever in history. And Nico is the man who's most likely to not know how to figure out the lighting in his Skype setup. But just to be on Skype with these two is big for you, Nico.
Hey, I'll tell you what, John. My focus is Liquid Lunch, and we've been making it happen, baby.
Absolutely. I have to say, in all seriousness, Nico's done a great job, especially these last few weeks. And
I couldn't do it without you.
No. I've done very little, and it's honestly been all Nico, booking some great guests and putting together some great content. And trust me, nobody was more surprised than me that Nico was able to do this job competently. But he certainly he's managed to do it.
And not only that, no one was more surprised than me to hear Frank talk so nicely about Nico, but I can only assume that
someone has to.
Mama Romano hit up Frankie's Venmo while we were talking.
Here's Brad.
All right. So
Frank, you just received $100.
Yeah, I'll take it. Unless there's anything else you want to go over, John, or unless there's anything else you want to discuss, I'm going to finish my Negroni, and then I am going to take one of my 2 naps of the day.
No, I think you guys have given me way more than I could even hope for. I really appreciate it. Pavlina, thank you. Frankie, thank you for gracing us again. And Nico, we got to do this more often. You can't just sit there behind the scenes.
Thank you all. And Pavlina, I'm sorry I didn't mean to monopolize the conversation. You're welcome to have some Frank-free commentary time if you want. I won't be offended.
Nah, this is more of the new normal. You know what I mean? This is like identifiable to people these days. Multiple people in boxes talking over each other, things lighting up, people in poorly lit areas. Poorly groomed people. I mean, I need my hairstylist. I need my makeup style. I just
want my eyebrows done. Like,
particularly if that makeup stylist is Jade. Am I right, John?
Yeah. Is that why you told me to turn off your camera?
What?
Is that why you told me to turn off your camera?
No.
All right. I'll see you later, lady and gentlemen.
All right. Frankie.
I miss you all.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you, Pavlina.
Thanks, John.
You're the
Thanks,
best.
Nico. Bye, Pavlina.
Nico,
thanks, everybody watching.
Nico, great job. I don't know if you want
to. Thanks, Frank.
Pavlina, thank you. You're a bomb. And that's that. We have the whole team, and including Frankie, back in action, back on the show, and we really kicked it up today. We almost broke 40. I'm trying to break 40. Last week I had 49 at the same time, which is big. Because 49 at the same time equals 1,000. So it's like a 20 to 1. So that means 20 people alternating in at 49 gives me 1,000. I'm trying to get into the 2,000s and the 3,000s so the Facebook algorithm will start picking us up more and sending us to more timelines. But thank you so much for watching. Thank everybody out there. Irene out there in New Jersey as an EMT, stay safe. Alicia Stay safe on the front lines. Keep going in your purse for a nurse. Check out Luxury and More for raffles every day, which are raising money for first responders. And go to Near and Far, Staten Island Cares. They're raising money every day to pay local businesses to make food, to deliver free to first responders, first frontline people, people in graveyards, people in mortuaries, people in funeral homes that are working day and night to give people a respectable end to their life and give them the best care they can while they're still alive. Things are getting better, folks. They're getting better every day, but we're not there yet. Stay safe. Stay socially distant. Wear your mask when you're out. It can't hurt. It can only help. And tune in again tomorrow, please, because it's helping me a real lot. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again tomorrow right here on Liquid Lunch.